this plan, and the faithfuls would work out who was doing the fibbing and the fake murdering and identify who the traitors were. It all sort of went wrong right at the last minute. And that shows you just how interesting human behaviour and how we read other people's behaviour can be, because there was a slight shift in Joe's behaviour and then that prompted Nick to think differently of him, and well, it all just went a little bit wonky, which made for a nail-biting finale. And Alan, the traitor, winning. He wins the cash, but of course in the celebrity version, he wins cash and it goes to charity. And his charity is for children with neuroblastoma, so a really important charity. It was quite an emotional ending to the series as well. We're talking about the finale. If you watched it, let me know what you thought. There's been some moments. And joining me now to talk about it, Andy Coley, who is a body language expert, participated on a similar programme called The Spies as well. Andy, morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Sonia. How you doing?
Morning. Really well, thank you. Do you think one of the reasons we love programmes like this so much is because we're just fascinated with reading other people's behaviour and seeing if we can work them out?
Well, it's even more fascinating with something like the Traitors, isn't it? Because we already know who the traitors are. So in a sense, we're kind of watching for tells, we're watching for body language, we're watching to see what other people are spotting. And it's been really curious about spotting some of the kind of instincts that some of the people have had about who might be the traitors as the show's been going along, hasn't it?
And how much have you been following this series and the previous ones? Because this was the first celebrity one, wasn't it? But we've had previous series. Have you been watching them?
I've watched little bits and pieces. My wife's been really into it. So she's been telling me about a lot of what's been going on. And of course, on social media, I've been seeing loads. I haven't seen the final yet, I must admit, because I'm currently away. So I've not got access to the iPlayer to watch the last one. And yet, talking about some of the typical behaviour, certainly Alan is a really interesting study in terms of sort of body language and spotting some of the things he does to hide his tells, as well as some of the others as well. So it's been really curious sort of watching these things evolve, particularly when you think you've got a Noah celebrity.
Yeah. What do you think the dead giveaways are that someone's telling a fib in terms of how they react with their body language, then, Andy?
I mean, it's really tricky. I mean, the key thing that I will say and caveat all of this with is usually the people that we can tell if they're fibbing or lying or anything around sort of making something up is often the people that we already know really well. So just a random member of the public or somebody you don't know particularly well, it's quite tricky to spot because you don't know what their normals are. But often that's the thing that's the big difference, is if they're behaving in a slightly different way, like they're giving us less eye contact than they might normally do, and in Alan's case, he does this a lot. He covers his mouth, he covers his face, and a lot of them cover their face when they've got stuff going on. I noticed Kat doing that loads as well. But Alan in particular, he does two things. One, he covers his mouth, but two, he eats something because he can't but help smirk. And I think this is one of Alan's big things. I know he finds stuff very funny all the time, but I think he also does that to cover up that when he's also trying to hold something in, he puts his hand in front of his mouth, or he will deliberately eat something, which is quite an interesting one as well.
That's fascinating. And I think from the other perspective, if you're a faithful, it's quite tricky, isn't it? Because you have to, you know that you're not one of the bad guys, but you equally have to convince everybody else. And that's difficult to play, because if you sort of underplay it, people might think, well, you're not doing much, you're not saying much, you're hiding something. Or as we saw with Joe Marler, he was eventually quite quiet to start, and then he was quite sort of, right, I think this and I think that. And then they kind of turned on him thinking he might be dodgy for sort of speaking his mind. It's difficult to prove your innocence with your body language and how you come across as well, isn't it?
And people take things like fidgeting. So if there's been a shift in somebody's body language, I know people were talking about Kate Garraway about that. And I can't remember the guy who slammed the table with his hands, and then he got accused of a shift in the body language. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if people are spotting like weird fidgeting, because often when people are nervous, their legs start twitching, they do fidget. They can be unconsciously shaking their head when they're trying to say yes. There are lots of little tiny tells that people might naturally give in those situations. So, I can understand why people might have gotten a bit uncertain. The big thing I will say with Joe, because Joe has basically singled Alan out pretty much from the start, hasn't he? I know it's been one of the things.
And Jonathan he did as well.
Yeah. Like, he's a rugby player, okay? So he has to work at a very instinctual body language. So, like, he's got to spot people shifting, turning on the field. Like, he's got probably a very good gut instinct for physiology, for body language. And most of our communication is non-verbal when we're talking to other people. So I'm not surprised that he had that little bit of an instinct about what was going on for somebody, because he's probably quite a good spotter on the rugby field. Like, he might see somebody look in one direction and try and run in the other to try and confuse him. Goalkeepers, are often looking at body language of footballers when they're going up to take a penalty. So I'm not surprised that people who are professional sports people are often quite good at spotting tales and body language.
That is really interesting. Last question then. If you were in it, Andy, do you reckon you'd be any good at either being a traitor and trying to fool other people, or being a faithful and having to fathom out who's doing the deceiving? How do you think you'd get on?
Do you know what? It almost feels better to have been a traitor in the first place, because then at least you kind of know solidly where you are. Would I be good at it? Well, I think, again, if people know me, I mean, my wife knows my tales when I'm stressed and a little bit like, I do certain
You're not
things.
Eating, are you, right now, Andy? You're not eating, are you?
Not right at the moment, no. But I think, could I deliberately feed stuff in and then maybe use it later? If I was playing a game, a bit like when I was on that spy show, I think I probably could. But is it something I would enjoy doing? I'm not entirely sure. The Traitors is something for me, to be honest. There's a little bit too much of the having to keep it under the hat. And having been on a reality TV show for nearly 2 weeks and knowing what it's like to have that intense pressure and all the stuff that they go under, it's not something I'm certain I'd probably want to redo again.
No, same. I think I'd love to sit and watch it with the popcorn, watch all the drama unfold and not have to be overwhelmed by it directly. Pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for coming on. Andy Coley, a body language expert. The weather for Essex now.